Hello, welcome to another edition of the Pace Report. I'm Brian Pace, reporting live here at the Soapbox Gallery here in Brooklyn, New York. Blessing this performance tonight are two dynamic musicians who just recently got together to collaborate on a record which is now released on HighNote Records. Pianist David Kikoski as well as bassist Boris Kozlov have an album entitled Sure Thing, and these two have known each other for well over 25 years. Now, this album is a myriad of stretched out compositions as well as really showcasing how these two play amongst themselves. It's not a competition, it's more of a collaboration and appreciation of friends. Tonight I had a chance to sit down to break bread with them briefly to talk about their relationship and how long they've known each other and how these two have played with each other for over 25 years in different ensembles. So sit back, relax, and enjoy highlights of the official record release of Boris Koslov and Dave Kikoski. Guys, congratulations on this brand new record, Sure Thing, HighNote Records. How did this amalgamation come together?
Well, okay, but we love telling the story, you know, and we get a chance to tell it a few times these days. And I'll start even before from where we usually start, like we met in the Mingus Big Band and all that stuff. I would go back to '92 when I come to Visiones, which was a great place, and a lot of musicians just coming to New York would go there to see the masters and to play in the jam session. And I come in, and it's Eddie Henderson's quintet, and Dave Kikoski's playing piano. And I remember that clear thought that I had at that point. I wish I could play with this guy one day. Fast forward to '98, we meeting in the Mingus Band. Dave had been playing there already, and I joined in '98. And from there, the ball starts rolling. Dave recommends me next year for Bob Berg's band when his bass player went to play with Wayne Shorter. And that was amazing.
Is that James or Ed?
It was Ed.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think they both did. They both did, played with Wayne a bit. So
Yep.
I think they both played with. So you know, you can't. It's hard to keep track after a while. But I want to. Can I throw one thing in? And then I'm going to give it back to you. But I remember when the Mingus, when we played at the Fez. I know we were playing at the Fez together. That was, I think, one of the first place with the Mingus Big Band. Sue Mingus was talking about this Russian bass player, you know, and I'm like, Russian bass player? I never heard of this. I never heard of this guy. Who is he? You know, and he was quite young, and I guess we all were back then. And then I well, what's so great about him? You know, I was saying, and there was, I forget which tune. He'll know, but it might have been something from Epitaph. She said, well, he does these. He took the arrangement and he took one part. He played the regular Charles Mingus bass part, but then he took like another part of another instrument and then something out, like putting 2 or 3 parts together without overdubbing. And I'm like, well, how did he do it? And then she's like, I don't know, but he's doing like 2 or 3 parts, you know. So like, you know, I guess for, you know, she could pay one guy and she doesn't have to pay 3 people. And I was like, so then finally I went. When the song came around, I was watching it. I mean, he you know, he's got this technical stuff going where he's like, he holds down one note and slides it or something, plays the melody, and then his pinky plays another part. And I don't know. I still don't know how he does it. But I was like, oh, okay. Wow, that's pretty impressive. Okay. So that was the first time I checked him out. But I finally saw what everybody was talking about. You know, like he could do these amazing things that the other guys couldn't do. So that was my introduction to Boris.
Oh,
anyway.
thank you, Dave. I tell you, open strings, that's how we
Open
did
strings, right. Well, everybody's got open strings, but they don't do it like you do it.
Oh, man. Thank you. No, it was inspirational because I had some good gigs prior to that, but meeting so many greats in one place week after week, this was really a dream come true, and Dave was one of them. So he recommends me for Bob Berg, and then the following year he calls me to go to Japan with him to record for Disc Union 2 records. One is quintet with Seamus Blake and Alex Tepagin and Jeff Tain Watts on both of them, and the other one is trio.
Couldn't get a good band.
And that's like killing. And then we come back, and a few months later, Dave calls me for Conversations, that recording.
Oh, yeah.
Combinations.
That one too.
Combinations, yes. So anyways, then Beatle Jazz, where
Who's on combinations? That's you, me, and
Seamus and Tain.
and Seamus and Tain. Yeah.
And it's combinations because that's like the how the duo was born.
Right.
It was combinations. They've had fugue-like original music, and I think Tain was delayed somewhere.
He got delayed.
And Dave says, while Tain is on his way and be setting up and everything, why don't we try a duo, just to look at the stuff? And we're trying it and like, okay, it sounds good and interesting. So the nucleus was 2 tracks on combinations.
That's right.
Then Beatle Jazz happened, and before me, the great Charles Fambro played bass there. May he rest in peace. So.
Yeah, that's right. He was the original bass player.
Yep.
For Beatle Jazz.
And when I came in, I had to learn everything that Charles did, and then Dave wrote some new arrangements, and they had idea of incorporating electric bass into it.
Right.
And I loved it because for electric bass, that's my first instrument. I love playing it because of different opinions and just circles that I musically revolve in. I do not have as much chance to play electric bass as upright. So for me, that was a very interesting, thing to do, like Beatles and jazz, and it's like it's fusion-y, and they would be supportive of me, Dave and Brian, to play like bring effects and stuff, and then some stuff would be completely acoustic, like just pristine. And then at some point we created this collective band with Seamus Blake and Alexei Pegg and Donald Edwards.
Opus 5.
Opus 5.
Right. 4 CDs.
Mm-hmm.
4 CDs.
4 CDs, and there might be a 5th.
We're supposed to do another one,
Yep.
supposedly. So yeah, that's a nice project.
friendship is what has made all of this keep evolving. And I want to know, how did you guys put these songs together, and how did you guys know, because I'm pretty sure there had to be at least 30 songs you wanted to do, but you guys condensed it down to 8.
Right. Well, I mean, we started to get into it on the other interview, but thank you for asking again. I'm a little more in depth. I mean, Boris knows a lot of my originals, and but you know, none of them were done in duo. So we decided, okay, since he knows a lot of my tunes, we'll do a couple of those, and then the ones that aren't haven't been recorded before, like the Chick Corea, and the title track. Sure Thing, that's one of my new arrangements that I've been working on. I always wanted to play it the way Bud Powell played it, but then I decided, well, you know, he played it like that, so you know, there's no use me doing it again that same way. It'll never sound as good as Bud anyway. So I figured I'd mess around with the rhythms. And yeah, I mean, I contemporized it or something, you know. I don't know if that's a real word, but you know what I mean. You know, brought it into the 21st, 22nd century, 23rd century, you know. And Boris is, you know, he's very good, and he's really into odd meter stuff. So I figured, you know, Boris will kill this one. So I was like, you know what, it's Bud Powell, but we're gonna do it. We're gonna put some odd meter to it, and then Bud Powell doesn't improvise over the changes. He just plays it like a classical piece. So yeah. I mean, he doesn't even take a solo. He just plays it like a classical song. But we decided, we changed the rhythm, my arrangement, changed it around, put some like 7/4, 7/8 feel on it, a little bit of a Latin thing, and then I sort of condense the chords of the arrangement, and then we take solos on it. So we put a nice little twist on it.
tonight I thought was really beautiful. You guys paid tribute to some fallen soldiers. We've lost some heavyweights here in the last couple of weeks. Yesterday, Ralph Peterson, that right there, he was a young lion like yourself. You guys came in here in the 80s, and you guys really were the bridge of the lineage of the musicians that you're bringing forward. I mean, you, Roy Haynes, he with Art Blakey.
Right.
And then we turn around and we lose Chick Corea. And you guys play Windows, which is one of his iconic compositions.
Right, right. And we also do the three quartets.
Right.
The three quartets is on there. Three quartets is on there. And yeah, I mean, it's I could talk for hours about Chick but yeah, like you said, fallen greats, and then Mulgrew wasn't that long ago, right?
4 years.
Yeah, so I mean when I first got out of Berkeley, it was like, okay, I went to Berkeley, but now I'm in New York, and Berkeley's great, but now I'm in New York, and it's like, at that time it was like, there was just millions of amazing piano players, but guys a little bit older than me, but like little bit older than me, were the Cats were like Kenny Kirkland and Mulgrew were like the Cats, and so I took a lesson with I studied briefly with Mulgrew. Went to his apartment, nicest guy in the like Chick, nicest guy in the world, and I still got to dig up that lesson tape because he actually I was just playing what was that, My One and Only Love. Some of that stuff is like some stuff that he showed me at the lesson.
Boris, your take on Chick, because one of the things that hit me, I'm a Gemini and Chick is a Gemini, and one of the things that I've always respected and loved about Chick was that he was so music forward. If you didn't like the Electric Band, you liked Return to Forever. If you didn't like Return to Forever, you liked the Gary Burton. If you didn't like there was something that he did that everyone dug about his musicianship and his composition.
Yeah,
absolutely. And we had scarce resources back in Soviet Union in the 80s when it comes to American jazz music. So I happened to have a tape of Friends. That's the recording with yeah. So that also introduced Eddie Gomez to my ear, and I loved and I loved that record. And then my teacher, may he rest in peace, bass teacher, if he ever goes outside of the country, he spends all her currency buying LPs at that time. So he brings back, and his head was like Ray Brown, Paul Chambers, but he respected all the music, so he brought back some Return to Forever, like Romantic Warrior, that stuff. So I'm listening to it like, man, that's a different Chick, but that sounds killing.
Stanley.
Yeah. Fast forward, too bad for me, but I did see Chick, thank God, a lot, at the Blue Note, at the festivals, on the Hood, and, in Europe. Never come speak to him, just enjoy the music, know a lot of guys from the band. Then, maybe 6 years ago, I get a call from John Patitucci. He said, which was incredibly nice of him. He said, look, I put the word out for you, for Chick. He may be checking you out, just want to give you heads up, he's forming new band. And I'm like, okay, of course, that'd be great. And he says, just let you know, he's checking out a lot of guys. He's checking out Hans Glavishnik, he's checking out a couple of Cuban guys. So he got, the Carlitos Del Porta, the great bassist, and son of Irakeri's bass player, Carlos Del Porta.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yeah, so I never made the cut. And the funny thing is, next time we see him, I come to Tampa where he lived with another group, and it's so funny, he comes to me and he starts speaking in thick Russian accent, thinking that it's going to amuse me. Yeah, he comes and says, hi Boris, how are you?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny.
And the last time I actually had a chance to socialize with him a little bit and the whole band, and it was on the boat, one of those Blue Note cruises. I was there, playing with 7 different bands. Like, they just needed guys to.
I can't get it.
No, and he played with a trio, which was stunning. But he also played with Marcus Miller's band, doing Miles stuff. And what you were talking about before, that comes to mind. Like, Chick could do anything. He could, because Marcus comes, and that's basically Marcus's band. He's drummer. He's 2 horn players. Marcus plays his, heavy produced, Marcus sound.
Yeah.
It's Marcus production, but Chick comes with acoustic piano and just right in, it like they rehearsed,
Yeah. Well, he's a pro.
He's a pro. And one more thing we have to add about Chick. He made all the jazz cats go back to their basics, which was classical. His classical recordings are just as important as some of all the ensembles that he's ever recorded with.
Okay, I'm going to tell you one of my Chick stories.
Go ahead.
Okay, so all right, but I'll relate it to the classical thing. Well, I mean, I'll like I said, I could talk for hours, but since we don't have that much time, I'll give you a little. For me, the Chick thing, obviously when I was a kid playing in fusion bands, rock and roll bands, you learned some jazz from my pop, and then it was like, okay, then I heard, I knew like some Return to Forever stuff, right? I had my electric keyboards and my synth and Fender Rhodes, and I knew a bit of that, Then I heard Now He Sings, Now He Sobs. So I was already just starting to listen to like McCoy and Coltrane and Bird and all that stuff. Then I had Now He Sings, Now He Sobs. Then it was like, okay, that's just like, okay, reminded me of McCoy a bit, but original, the whole new bag coming out of McCoy and blending with Monk and Bud Powell and just like completely original, but the tradition and the class, like you said, the classical feel. Then, like he says, fast forward. Then fast forward, I go now. I'm starting to really check him out. Now he sings and all that stuff. So finally, I meet Roy Haynes. I go out to Roy Haynes' house. Roy calls me. We're having a jam session. I go out to Roy Haynes. I'm 22, 23. Go out to Roy Haynes' house. I have to bring my Fender Rhodes. Okay, so I just happened to forget my my sustain pedal. And I said, Mr. Haynes, I got my Fender Rhodes. I'm ready to play, but, I forgot my sustain pedal. He said, you're not going to need the sustain pedal with me. I like, and this is exactly what he said. He goes, I like a crisp, chicky Bud Powell feel. You don't need your sustain pedal. I said, okay, cool. I like Chick. I like Bud Powell. So we start playing. He goes, play whatever you want right about here. Ting. Ta-ting, ka-ting, it's just like the slickest, like just the way, just the symbol, like, it's like having an musical orgasm or something. And so then he starts pulling out these charts, handwritten charts of Chick, great calligraphy. He's like, let me show you this. You'll probably like looking at this. And it's Chick Corea, his handwriting, the original, it's not copies or not, his original. Chick would write a tune or an arrangement and it was before copies of charts, and he would just send it directly in the mail to Roy. You can play this with your band, it's a new song. So, Mirror, Mirror. Now then his version of Monk, his version of Trinkle Tinkle, the Monk tune, etc. And then Like This, a tune that they did with Shaka, blah, blah, blah. So all these Chick charts. By then I was pretty well into it. I would tape stuff off the radio and stuff. So he picked a few obscure ones like Mirror, Mirror, Trinkle, Tinkle. And then he's, can you read that? Can you read this? Here's a chart. Here's a chart. And I'm looking at, nice chart. And I just put it down on a table. And then he's like, oh, you can't read music? And I said, no, I know it. He goes, you know that? Chick just said he just wrote it. And I said, well, I got this tape. I taped it off the radio. He actually played it like 2 weeks ago on the radio. It's not that new. And he's like, damn. Oh, so you're bad, right? So you must be bad then. And I'm like, I like Chick, I can play. So then we played a few tunes, and he's like, oh, you know this one too? Oh, you know his version of Trinkle Tinkle, blah, blah, blah. So that's how I got the gig. Later, fast forward, like he says, fast forward like 8 years later, after recording a bunch of those songs with Roy, going to Europe, etc. Now I'm playing with Bob Berg. Now Bob just got the gig with Chick, that band with Petitucci and Gary Novak.
Yeah.
Now Gary came with us, but that's another story. So now we go on this boat, this beautiful boat that has a jazz club on it. Chick comes to our gig. We're in the Caribbean. Now we're jamming all night. Dennis Chambers is on drums. James Genus on electric. There's like drums in a jazz club on this boat, with Chick. It wasn't Chick's boat, but it was sort of like his boat, So now we're jamming. We're like jamming all night, and he invites us to come back the next, just us, just Bob Berg quartet with Chick, and then Gail would sing a few tunes, Chick's wife. So we're jamming all night, and Chick is just like going nuts, and check out these changes. And so by now we're friends, and then more records with Bob Berg on Chick's label, Stretch Records, et cetera, et cetera. So we became friends and stuff like that. So, but it all started with, Roy Haynes and then Bob Berg, and now, rest in peace, Chick Corea, right?
did everything from 61 up until he left. He left us 50 years, fusion, classical, straight ahead. He left us post-bop. He left us, I mean, this guy was schizophrenic all over the music scope.
Yeah, he didn't stop. He didn't stop. I mean, still. I mean, even when you'd see him, you'd see him play with, duets with Herbie, whatever. Killing, and they sounded beautiful together, of course,
Even the Gary Burton stuff.
The Gary, those duets too. But they do the old tunes, Maiden Voyage, they do La Fiesta in Spain and all that stuff. But like I remember the last time I saw them, I think it was Carnegie Hall, he wrote some big brand new tune in honor of, he wrote a new tune for that gig, for that tour, for Herbie. And and it's like and Herbie had to learn like a whole new, like it's like learning Stravinsky or something. And Herbie's like showing, Chick wrote me a new tune, kind of like, damn, kicking my butt. You know, Chick wrote another song for me to learn. It's like, 10 pages of all this classical stuff all written out. And, Bob Berg told me, Chick would write, he would write, literally, he'd write a song like, one of the records we did with Bob Berg, he did this song Promise, remember Promise? And then Chick's on half the record. It's on Chick's label, Stretch. Chick's on half the record. I'm on half the record with Bob Berg and Dennis, the same band, Dennis Chambers and James Genius. But it was nice. I was honored because Chick said, he wrote that new tune. Bob Berg told me he wrote it in like he would write songs like 5 minutes. Like you and I would write an email to someone. He would write a song in 5 minutes, just write it out. He was fast. That's genius, but he said, I want Dave to play this one, let's see what Dave can do with this one. And then after we recorded it, Bob told me, he said, I didn't know Dave could play like that. This is after all the Roy Haynes stuff. So he knew I could play, but I guess whatever I got into, maybe a little more straight ahead. He never heard me play like, whatever, bebop stuff as much, and he said, I didn't know, you tell Bob, I was honored, he said, I wanted Dave to play it. I knew he could play it well, but I didn't know he could play like that. So, I was thrilled that he liked it.
That'll do it again for another edition of the Pace Report, reporting live here at the Soapbox Gallery here in Brooklyn, New York. Make sure you go out and support Dave Kikoski and Boris Kozlov's brand new CD, Sure Thing, which is now available on HighNote Records. You can order it on Amazon.com, as well as jazzdepot.org, as well as Google Music and Apple Music. For more information for Boris and David's upcoming performances, please visit Dave's website at davekikowski.com, as well as you can follow Boris's Facebook page at facebook.com/Boris Koslov Bass. I'd like to personally thank the staff and management here at the Soapbox Gallery for their warm hospitality. Please visit their website for upcoming streaming events, as well as support this art gallery. Also, please visit my website, thepacereport.com, for my weekly column as well as my past segments. Like, share, and subscribe to my videos, as well as participate on my social media pages, Instagram, Twitter, as well as Facebook. Until next time, remember, if it's in the groove, it'll make you move. Till next time, peace.